All right, this is the March 28th historic aircraft flying at Lewis University Airport. This airplane is... Dick, is this a 2020? What year is it?
Yeah.
2020 Vashon Ranger. Awesome, thanks Dick. How are you? Thanks for coming, Mike. So this is one of the newest airplanes here, and this is a 1937 Spartan Executive, one of only 34 ever made. That's Dave. It's his airplane. He brought Jack with him today. And look, it's an old radial. How awesome is this? Beautiful paint job. They came down from central Illinois, down by Robinson, Illinois, which is central part of the state. And here is a World War II trainer. This airplane is Fairchild. So I think it's a Fairchild model 14, and look, it has a wooden propeller, but it's a tail dragger, and obviously an awesome bit of history here. And here, speaking of history, is an amazing Boeing Stearman. Stearman is an open cockpit biplane, another amazing radial engine aircraft. Bob Zabansky was kind enough to bring the Stearman over here today. Here's an aircraft. It doesn't even have an electrical system. This airplane is known as an Aeronca Champ. And if you can see on the tail there, it has, instead of just a November, it has a NC on the tail, which is amazing. So it's also a tail dragger. Now, this type of aircraft with a tail gear instead of nose gear, this is known as standard gear. But of course, these days, almost all the aircraft that you'll see have a nose wheel. But this one, in the history of aviation, was known as standard gear because it had a tail wheel. And speaking of unique aircraft, here is a canard. Well, what is a canard? A canard is an aircraft that has the elevator surface on the front of the aircraft. This aircraft is a Long Easy. It's a home-built aircraft, and it looks sleek, and it is. Very good on fuel. Not a lot of room for passengers, but man, is it cool looking. One of the more common aircraft you see out in the air these days, it's a Piper Warrior. Room for 4 people on board. Now, this aircraft is not turbocharged. It normally aspirated, which means it doesn't have a radiator system. So the engine is cooled by air, and there's no pressurization in the aircraft. As is this is a Piper Archer. And this one, you notice, is a little bigger than the last one, the Warrior. The Piper Archer has a larger engine, 180 horse engine, so it's a little bit faster, and also a great way to fly and see downtown Chicago. Here is a Piper Cub. A Piper Cub, this one's been highly modified. You see how it has those huge wheels on the front, and that allows it to land at rough fields, like on sandbars up in Alaska. Look at how clean and beautiful it is. So it's got a 4-cylinder engine, and again, standard gear, which is what we call tailwheel aircraft. Let's see, our friend Dan brought his V-tailed Beechcraft Bonanza. Now here's another Piper Cub, not quite as modified with the normal size landing gear as the other Cub that we just saw. This one, again, you can see it's got a Shinichi prop, a wooden prop, but Mike Rufato, our good friend Mike Rufato, brought this over from Rufato Airport, which is a grass strip not far west of here. So we go from low tech to high tech. Here's a Cirrus SR22. The 22 has a more powerful engine versus the 20. See, it's got a 3-bladed prop, and they call that strange shape scimitar, if I might pronounce it correctly. Put comment below if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But again, with that slick surface on it, very fast aircraft. And notice how the windows and doors close there. I believe that's pressurized. Here's a Cherokee 140. We talked about the Cherokee Warrior earlier, and also the Piper Archer. Our friends from up the northern suburbs brought their Cherokee 140 down, and the ladies are checking out the fly-in today. Here's a unique aircraft. This is an MU-2 made by the Japanese company called Mitsubishi. And you notice something unusual about the aircraft is it has these large fuel tanks sitting off the end of the wing. Sort of a stubbier wing, which allows it to limit its drag. And with those big engines, it is fast. And you notice how there's black stripes on the front of the wings? That is anti-icing. So this aircraft is pressurized with the turbine-powered propellers. It's high performance, and it's able to fly at higher altitudes, and it can fly in many different weather conditions, because you notice the front, the blades of the prop here closer towards the engine, they're also black. They have boots on them, and those boots, in the event the aircraft were encounter icing situations, the boots are designed to snap that ice off the propellers, and the black stripe on the front of the wing is a boots that are designed to do the same thing. The one thing with this aircraft is if you increase one of the two tip tanks and the other one's empty, the aircraft will tip on its side. So you have to be careful when you fuel up this aircraft. Final last entry is a Rotorcraft, and this is, I think it's a Blom, isn't it? Let's see if it says around here. So I don't think it's a Robinson. Maybe it's a Robinson. I think it's a Blom, B-L-O-H-M. And I have never learned how to fly a helicopter, but this one is a beauty. You notice it has a spinning tail thing on the back and the rotor up above. So that's a lot to control. And this is what we have today for the March 2026 fly-in at Lewis University Airport.